Welcome back to our live Thursday show. As ever, the best chat was during the break, wasn't it, James? James joins us. Chris Holt is here. He said he'd join us when the cricket chat had finished. Chris Holt, Sheffield Wednesday writer for the Sheffield Star. Sorry to disappoint you, Chris, but there's going to be some more cricket chat from the man on your right. Billy Root, during the course of the programme. You can add your expertise to the conversation.
There'll be a very limited amount there.
Yeah, well, I don't play much cricket in Ireland, do they?
Do
they? Well, they do, actually.
They do, yeah.
They do play some.
I'm just thinking there, my cousin plays for Warwickshire. He may well have been playing against you today.
Who's that?
Mark Adair.
Yeah, I know Mark.
Yeah.
How on earth are
He's got
Ireland?
me out a few times. Yeah.
How are Ireland such a good team? They've surprised a few people.
And they only really play it in sort of like small pockets of places around the country.
Have you ever played? Do you ever play as a kid?
No.
Not in schools or anything like that?
No, we didn't really play it.
Okay.
Our school was a bit rough. They wouldn't trust us with cricket bats.
What about with snooker cues? You two guys play snooker.
We do. We play a lot. We play more snooker than he probably does cricket. Yeah, we play a lot, don't we? Especially in the winter.
I reckon he could bat with a snooker cue.
Yeah, I can see. Well,
I don't know about that.
Try it sometime.
It's just difficult to play with him because you always have to get the rest for him.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, 'cause I've got short arms. I've got high break of 1-2-1 now.
Have you?
No, red, yellow, red.
Oh, right.
Sorry,
you got me. You got me. I was going to say,
he was thinking, no, you haven't. The ice break's 12.
15 is mine. Genuinely, it's 50. Only 15.
Oh, you're not invited to.
What's yours?
I don't know. I've had one in the 40s, I think.
40s?
Yeah, he was sat down for a while.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, getting the next drink.
Let's reel off some more figures. Sorry about this, Chris. It's cricket.
All right.
Sorry about this, mate. We'll bring Sheffield Wednesday in shortly. Billy's first-class rating. He assures me these facts from Wikipedia are still up to date. His first-class career average with the bat is 45. He's had 2 centuries and 2 50s. Highest score of 133. His average in one-day cricket is 64. Yeah, he's not demurring. And his T20 average is 78. Although he's smirking at that because the 78 was only 2 innings, wasn't it?
No, it was probably about 9, I think, but I've only got out once. So.
Right, okay.
Hey, most impressive one.
I'll take it, though, I'll take it.
His bowling average is the most impressive. It was about 17, isn't it? In first-class bowling average.
17, yeah. Right.
Yeah, the proper bowling average.
Is that off breaks or seam? Or a bit of both?
I don't know, a bit of both, I think.
Well, you're 25 years old now, which for a cricketer's not old, you know, and you're playing you've been with Nottinghamshire since 2015. Do you feel that you're getting close to that regular sort of first team breakthrough with them now?
Yeah, I think so. It's difficult with such a strong squad. I mean, the experience of Ross Taylor, that brought in Chris Nash, who must have played 150 Champo games. So there's a lot of experience to compete with there. So for me, it's tough, and I've just got to make sure that like I said earlier, when I'm called upon, I'm ready. And like you said, I've got the stats to back it up. It's just got to make sure I can maintain that level when it's time.
Within the family, but outside the family, mainly, there's always comparisons with Joe, and people talk about you as you're very different people and very different players, aren't you, in style? Would you say, or would you agree?
Yeah, well, for a start, he stands the wrong way around.
Yeah, your left hand, he's right, yeah.
Yeah, I think that we do some things similar and we do a lot of things different. We're just different players, like you would say about anyone, really. Like you'd say Morgan's very different to Alex Hales or something.
Joe's more attritional, isn't he? You know, kind of, but you like to, like a bit of flair, don't you? A bit of flair.
Cavalier he is, cavalier, I would say.
I like to try. I mean, I'm not a big lad, so I've got to find another way of knocking it around.
Where does that power come from? You've hit many a six. I've seen some of them myself. There is power there. There's timing, I suppose.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, but you improvise too, don't you? Does that come with it? That makes you a very effective one-day player?
Yeah, I think you've just got to find your way of making sure you can get your job done. And mine will be different to like Joe's, like you say.
Yeah, although he's got plenty of shots. But
yeah, it's very skillful.
Yeah.
See, I like that. I like that aspect of cricket because I'm not a big fan. So and whenever T20 started coming in, that was for me really, because I can't sit through the big long days.
I prefer the big, long,
Well,
boring.
no, I can't. And so I like someone like Billy who's
Yeah.
going to get everybody off their feet, and instead of just taking 3 days of my life.
Yeah.
For a draw,
Yeah, exactly.
No, I can be fascinated by 5 days that end in a draw, as long as the cricket's good, you're stimulating.
I think it's for
And
your
the beer's
cricket,
good.
you know. Your cricket fan, you know, you proper
real.
cricket fan is a, you know, can watch all forms, whereas I think,
Connoisseur.
you know, yeah, exactly. Whereas, you know, I think that's what, you know, they bring in this 100-ball format potentially, and, you know, that's probably more for you, you know, it's probably not the best idea in the world, but I think that is to try and bring people in who don't particularly like cricket on the whole. I don't know what your thoughts on that, Bill, are, but, you know.
Which football game do you prefer to watch?
Good question. I like them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, for different reasons.
And which do you prefer to play? Is there a preference?
No, not really. I think when it's almost like a different sport. When it's time for a championship, you're in one mindset, and when it's time for 50 overs, you shift into another, and then 2020 time, it's like cricket on speed, isn't it? So they're all very different games.
Ambitions? Obviously to be a regular first for Nottingham, but it's a cross to bear really, because people are always talking about, are we going to see this historic two brothers in an England Test team? Is that something that rests easily on your shoulders, or is that sometimes a little bit of a burden and an irritation?
I don't know. I think it's the sort of thing that's never too far away this day and age. I mean, you see lads having a good couple of games on telly, and then they're in a shout for the Lions. So it's something that you can never sort of take off the table, but you've still got to, you know, remember where you are and still keep working hard at the stuff that
It'd be wonderful if it happened, wouldn't it? Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, I'd take it.
Yeah. Let's hope. I've not given up.
No, definitely not.
Have you,
No,
really?
I mean, yeah, I think it's,
I've
you know,
definitely not given
like
up.
Bill says, it's not far away. You know, you see some guys who play in the T20s and the One Day Cup, and they have a few good games, and next thing they're kind of being touted as, and then equally it can go the other way. So, you know, I think he's got a good mindset for it, really. You know, seeing it.
Yeah, you've got a great temperament, I think, for. You're not phased, are you, out there in the middle? It appears to me you're not. You're not worried about getting out. It doesn't look like.
I don't think so. I think the occasion always seems to take over.
Yeah.
And then you don't really have the time to think about that sort of stuff, especially in one-day cricket.
Right, we'll come back. We'll come back to cricket in a minute.
It's all right.
Chris Holt, and with your permission, Bill, we'll talk about one of your least favourite teams, because you've had a Rotherham United preference and a Sheffield United within the city of Sheffield, and wider, you're a Spurs fan. You know, a few weeks ago, you and I would have been expecting to be talking about a little bit of hand-wringing and a bit of gloom and doom.
Yeah.
And it's all sweetness and light suddenly at Hillsborough at the end of this
Well,
season.
it's certainly a lot more. The picture's a lot rosier than say 6 or 7 weeks ago.
Rosier than you expected it to be?
Yeah, I think so. I must admit, I think I spoke to you a few weeks ago about this, that I wasn't, maybe about a month ago, I wasn't entirely sold on Jos Luhukay as manager. I just hadn't, not that I thought he was doing a particularly bad job, but I just thought, I'm not quite sure yet, I just need a bit more time to judge him. But now I'm coming round to his ways, and quite interested in seeing what he can do when he has all of those players that have been missing this season, have them back. And I think it was because we'd seen him with the absolute bare bones, and it was so hard to judge him as a manager with so many key players not able to play for him. And the results weren't great. You know, we would get the odd good performance, but mostly it was pretty drab stuff. And then all of a sudden, Tom Lees comes back in and things tighten up at the back. And then Barry Bannon comes back in and there becomes a wee bit more creative spark that had been missing. And then Forrest Derry comes back and that lifts everything. And suddenly you're thinking, well, actually, this is a team here. There is a good team in there. And now, as I say, I'm interested to see what he can make of this team.
He's been a bit of a hard sell personally, because he's coming on the back of quite a charismatic manager, and he himself is fairly introverted in style, isn't he?
But I must admit, I've noticed a difference in him in the past couple of weeks.
Yes, lightening up a bit.
Yeah. Particularly, I mean, after they beat Hull, which all but confirmed that they were staying up, you could almost see the weight coming off his shoulders, where he thought, right, that's done now. I don't have to worry about that. I can see the last of the season out, relax a little bit, maybe play a little bit more football and change things around if I have to. But and he was a bit jokier. You know, he was joking about a rather unfortunate Jack Hunt injury.
They were memorable.
He took the ball.
Yeah.
Where no one wants to take the ball. And he also was very funny about that.
That's a very apt word in every sense, isn't it, really?
And he was very funny about that. And it was the first time that he'd sort of just sort of lost that cloak of...
He said, Mrs. Hunt better not have any plans tonight.
Yes, it was worse to that effect, He said it should be be very careful. In fact, it's not happening. So and that we've seen that a little bit more. And I must admit as well, last week when he opened up about the way where they're going to target in terms of, you know, the types of players they're going to bring in and where they're going to bring them in from, I don't think Carlos would have been quite so open about that. About that sort of thing. So we're seeing a fair amount of honesty from him.
And a clear idea as to how he's going.
And I think that will... I think it's unfair on him because, as you say, that Carlos was so charismatic, and Joss's English isn't great, you know. But I think as that improves, we might see a bit more of his personality coming through.
I think he's got his feet under the table now. And he knows he's got his feet under the table. And the two departures, the high-profile departures this week of Ross Wallace and Glenn Loovens, not unexpected in either case, but both have been terrific players for them.
It's one of those ones where you're sort of... Fans will be sad to see them go, but, you know, it was inevitable, really. Glenn hasn't played for the past few months, and I think it became pretty clear that he wasn't going to be in Lukai's plans. And in terms of Wallace, he's still got a lot to give as a player, but he's just come back from a pretty serious injury. Obviously, his contract's run out. You don't know what he's going to be like when he comes back from that. It's probably unfair to him to say, right, well, we're not going to give you a contract now. You're going to have to prove yourself over a summer with no contract. Do we see what you're like? And then, so...
He's looking to a younger squad anyway,
and that's what it is, and that's basically what the nuts and bolts of it are. And he's just decided he needs to bring down the age of the squad, which is what we've been saying for quite a while.
And also, you know, two significant earners, you know, big earners, you know, but committed players that make no mistake. I mean, credits.
I mean, on their day,
or off the wage.
Glenn is a loss, and we spoke to the manager today, and we spoke to Cameron Dawson about it. Glenn will probably be a bigger loss behind the scenes than in fact, I know that for a fact. He'll be a bigger loss behind the scenes than he will be actually on the pitch, because he became that sort of intermediary where you know he helped new players coming in. He helped them to settle, particularly you know when Joey Pelopessi came in. Obviously being Dutch, he helped him settle in and. Things to do with his car and car insurance and just, you know, these sorts of things that are just a little bit, you know, different for somebody coming in.
He was also a sergeant major if needed in the dressing room by reputation, and I noticed one of the goodwill greetings that he had from most Sheffield Wednesday players was from Fernando Forestieri, who was the one that we understand, you know, was brought into line, or Loovens was the one who brought him firmly into line.
He refused to play, wasn't he? I remember.
And Carlos sent Glenn to go and speak to him to try and,
I think it was more than speak.
To try and get this sorted out. And Carlos did say in the weeks after that he felt that Glenn Loovens was the best captain he's ever had because of the way he conducted himself.
Forestieri seems to respect that. I think people need to know where they stand.
Just a bit.
As they do. Come to James in a moment. A big summer of cricket to look forward to in the tests as well. 7 tests I think they're on. They're Pakistan with 2 and India 5 this summer. You looking forward to that?
I am, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I love it when India come over, because they've always got massive superstars. And it's always good to see how they get on over here.
And Coley signing for Surrey today.
Yeah.
As well. What a signing that is. There's some lucky lads, isn't there, who are going to be learning off him.
He's a big player. I mean, they'll just be chomping at the bit for him to get there, and they can learn from who's such a fantastic player across 3 formats consistently for a number of years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, a huge test to India, and that will be absolutely fascinating. There's an ebb and flow about Test cricket. We seem to have been, and I'm not talking about Joe's era, and he had a great summer to start with, but over recent years we've been up there and then down there and up there, and it doesn't seem to take very long between the two, sides of it, does it? It seems to fluctuate.
I think that's mainly because it's so hard to win away.
Is it?
I mean,
yeah.
No one goes and wins in India.
No.
No one really wins in South Africa. The last team to do was us. It's very difficult to win an Ashes series away. So I think conditions suit every home nation, really. And if you think about it, how many people come over here and win?
That's true. We've got a very good record, haven't we?
I do admire that side of things. When teams go away and they're away for so long, and they're, and the conditions aren't always great, and you're dealing with, especially with the teams that England are playing, you're dealing with completely different weather conditions, and playing in searing heat sometimes and stuff like that. I must admit, I do admire that the amount that they put into that.
And away for very, very long periods of time.
Yeah, I mean, some of them are away 300 days a year.
Yeah.
So.
Joe's barely in his own bed, is he? Really?
No.
Well, I mean, it must be mentally exhausting as well as physically.
I mean, you're barely home there yourself, aren't you, mate?
Yeah.
He's had 12 days away,
Yeah.
until the other night, being away and playing to twos and whatever.
But he's very laid back, isn't he?
Of course he is, yeah.
He's very
almost horizontal.
Yeah. You sound like you're going to talk about something completely outside of the game of cricket. The social side of the game of cricket. I thought you were going to get onto there with horizontal.
No, absolutely not. No. Dear me.
Right. Come on. What else is going on? Before I get deeper into the into the ground that I'm digging.
We're going to say, Blades have got Bristol away down there. 12:30 kickoffs for both Wednesday and United this week. Wednesday, of course, at home to Norwich. Not much really can be said about those two fixtures because they just can't. There's no point trying to talk about too much. But one line, Marcus Dewhurst, the Sheffield United academy goalkeeper, he's been selected for England's under-17s for the Euros this summer. So the goalkeeper's theme continues, doesn't it, in this city? It's great.
Yeah, George Long's had a great time at Wimbledon.
Yeah, I saw him earlier as well, actually. George, and I think he's player of the season, thrilled to bits. Yeah,
that's really good to see because it's such a torrid time at Bramall Lane, and he had short bursts of appearances, and something would go wrong, and he attracts headlines for a wrong reason.
Yeah, he did well when he came in. Young as well for a goalkeeper. He's played 100 games for the Blades. And you just think it's such a young age. Great. So
I'm surprised it's 100, but
yeah. So there we go. So lots of goalkeepers from the city doing well. Good news there from the Lane, and also good news for Sheffield United ladies as well down at West Midlands last Sunday. Resounding 5-1 win for them. A week off for them this week, and 3 wins on the trot now as well for our Women's Super League club in the city, Sheffield FC ladies as well. They're at home to Millwall on Sunday at the Coach and Horses. So if you're a bit of a loose end and you think, the Blades and the Owls seasons are finished, well, you can go and watch the ladies as well because they've got a big summer of football.
I think they're going next Wednesday. They're home next Wednesday as well.
They are indeed.
It's a great day out.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah, went a few weeks ago. Yeah, my daughter plays for Crosspool Juniors, so they have this sister club partnership with various youth teams, so we went along. That's great. Yeah,
I've been once, but I'm intending to go on Wednesday. So,
definitely.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. You can report back next week.
Yes. Yes, there is a show next week. I just realised.
Yeah, good. Good. So you can report back. Hold you to that then. Hallam FC, season ended with them finishing one place outside of the playoffs as well. Still a magnificent season, really, after the departure of Ryan Hindley, of course, not assistant manager, unlike we said a few weeks ago. They lost on the final day to Knaresborough 3-2 last week. They actually won the league with 100 points. Sheffield FC, they lost to Frickley as well on the last day of their season. Will take heart in that 15th place finish, I think, as well, because they were sort of flirting with relegation for much of the season, weren't they, until they had that little burst as well. Well, it took longer than expected as well, because for the Sharks Sheffield, DBL Sharks Sheffield, as they call all the Sheffield Sharks to you and I, they emphatically booked their place in the playoffs. with a colossal 103 points to 61 win over Glasgow Rocks. Guarantees them a quarter-final place in their sort of league playoff standings with the league champions Leicester Riders on Saturday afternoon at the EIS. Of course, they played Leicester in the BBL Trophy final and they narrowly lost that one. And then they've got the second leg on Sunday down in the Midlands. So Saturday afternoon, EIS is the place where you can watch the Sharks in their quarter-final playoff action as well. Let's talk about the GB ice hockey players as well, because led by our very own Jonathan Phillips, who captains the Steelers. The GB national ice hockey side, they've actually been promoted to the top division of international ice hockey. So that means they get to play against Canada, Russia, the USA, so all the big dogs basically. So they're in that top pool again now. Spoke to Seth Bennett, former Radio Sheffield's man who loves his ice hockey. He is thrilled. He says it's the biggest thing that's ever happened in British ice hockey. And there was loads of Steelers players as well. Ben O'Connor, Davy Phillips, Robert Dowd, Liam Kirk. Stunning stuff. Bodes well for the Steelers as well, of course, and also for the game of ice hockey as well. So that'll be brilliant. Eagles as well. Sheffield Eagles. They won their second game of the season against Rochdale last Sunday. You know, the home game for them as well. This Sunday they play against Halifax, who are in 6th place in that league. And then league cricket starts again. Yeah. Well, it's meant to have kind of started, but you know, a bit of rain affected.
A bit of that during the summer.
Exactly. Yeah, because you'll be there, won't you? So
yeah, I will be.
Will you be playing, Bill, this Saturday or?
I think so.
Yeah. Good man. If you're not playing for
This is at Aberdale for collegiate.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're at home.
Yep. Home. Aberdale Park.
Spot on.
It couldn't be a more beautiful place to go on a summer's day, and the forecast is looking very good.
I think it's
actually.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
a bit
get
better than it
yourself
was
down.
last
I
week.
come down.
Well, no, you could learn something.
Down and have a pint.
You could learn something.
Exactly. There is a
You
bar.
really could.
Does help.
I was thinking, is this right? That your first team coach at Notts, is it Peter Moores?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mooresy.
Obviously, ex-England head coach, a very experienced character,
Yeah.
would have had plenty to do with your brother over the years as well. I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He coached Joe when Joe was just getting into the side.
Yeah. You find him helpful? Is it?
Yeah, he's a genius.
Yeah.
His knowledge of the game is just far superior to anyone else I've ever seen. He just knows what's going to happen. It's amazing.
What, in terms of the way the twists and turns in the game?
Yeah, and his knowledge of the technical aspects as well is so good, and he just keeps it fresh. We don't do the same training every week. You just want to come and enjoy your day because you know you're going to.
That's the key to it, I suppose. If you enjoy it, you're going to do better than if it's something you dread to do. And that also, just finally on the programme, is the key to the Root Academy. Are you doing various coaching schools or camps all over the UK and abroad? Kids of what age upwards are you looking to coach?
It's going to be quite flexible, I think. We're usually about 6 to 12, maybe even 15s. We've got camps dotted around the country. There's one at Sheffield Collegiate on the 17th of August. So get yourself down there, Greggy.
I will do.
Get that.
Yeah, you're just small enough to qualify.
Exactly.
Well, if I have a shave, I'll be all right. Yeah.
And there's room for one or two.
Stick for this.
Hey, Chris Holt.
Get the rest out.
It's never too late, Chris. It's never too
Get me
late.
junior pads out as well, shall I?
Now Aaron has
used
got
to play.
test status, I might pick it up myself.
Yeah, well, there you go. I fancy
He
it.
used to play for Sheffield Collegiate.
I did, yeah, as a kid, yeah.
Is it surprising that he was a stumper?
Yeah.
Could you see him by now? All right, okay.
Cheers, Alan.
I'm
Thanks
sorry,
very
pal.
much. You're on your own next week.
Yeah, you can get me back next week.
I
I'm
will.
sure. Hey, and that's our time gone. I can't believe it. We've been skittled out
Flies,
here
man.
inside an hour.
We have.
We've all skittled out, including James Shield. Thanks to James for part 1. Thanks to Chris for part 2. Thank you to James, and thank you to Billy, who's gone the course and he's unbeaten, not out, on YouTube later. See you next week.